everybody to Desert Dialogues Day 2. Super excited to be here live in Marfa. It's really happening right now. I'll give you a shot of the hall. There's a lot of people here walking through some great artist activations going on.
Yes.
Some amazing work that artists have worked on for a long time to bring it to Marfa and to show it to the community here. And it's awesome that, I've been able to do my artist activation, which is actually a live stream show. So talking to other artists and collectors and curators and everybody that's come here out to Marfa and had the ability to broadcast it out live to the community. So
it's so cool that you are doing it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I know.
Your setup is amazing.
Yes, the setup is so cool.
Very amazing.
Very,
awesome.
very, very nice.
So I am joined here by two amazing generative artists. And maybe you guys can both just introduce yourself with a quick introduction.
Cool. Okay. My name is Ana Carreras. I stepped into generative art 20 years ago. I've been doing research and projects on kind of nonlinear narratives and interactive installations at the beginning, and that brought me to create artworks and generative stuff that explains some stories or tackles some concepts and the narrative behind that and how we can use algorithms and systems to explain that narrative and convey ideas in a visual way. So, yeah, mainly that's it.
Thank you for coming on. Jimena?
Thank you for having us, first of all. My name is Jimena Buena Vida, and I'm a generative artist. I was born and raised in Colombia, in South America, and I'm now based in the US. I'm a mother of two little girls, 6 and 8 years old, and they really inspire my creative process. I have a background in engineering and a master's in computer science, and I've been a creative my entire life. Since I'm age of 2, have been always really inclined to express myself with some kind of creation, coloring, Play-Doh, sculptures. I stumbled upon art after many years of kind of putting it aside and feeling imposter syndrome. I worked in corporate America for more than a decade. And once I became a mom, I realized that I wanted to tap into my creative calling. And I found that the combination of Web3 and NFTs having an outreach to a community that was worldwide allowed me to parent my kids and also tap into my creativity and connect with a beautiful community. And I think we see an example here in Marfa of what these absolutely incredible community can build. And it's so inspiring to be here. So thank you so much for having us.
No problem. Thank you for coming. And Marfa's a pretty special place, right?
It is, absolutely.
It is.
Has a magical something.
It's a mystical town, mix of art and people and calmness and slowness and
absolutely.
colors.
And just, walking around the town, I'm always just so, inspired every time I come here. Just artistically, it's almost like the town is an art piece in and of itself, right?
Yeah, sure.
So
what I enjoy the most is meeting people, because wherever you are walking around, you can meet people this weekend that it's interested somehow in generative art, doing it in the creative part or maybe enjoying it. And then the kind of conversations that arise are incredible and unique. So that makes it very, very special.
100%. So you both are working on a project that's in the works. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the project that you've been working on, and maybe just give us a little intro of what you've been up to.
You go for it?
Sure.
Molly.
So the project you're talking about is the Frida Kahlo collaboration. Very humble to be a part of an experience that has been life-changing. I've gotten a lot of questions this weekend on like, how the heck did you land at it? And the power of Twitter or X, however you want to call it, on this community, it's just beautiful. About the project, so many things to highlight, but I think what comes to mind is the time that we spent in Mexico City this summer. Anna, Alaida, and myself were invited and hosted and just welcomed in Mexico City in what it was an experience to immerse ourselves in the Frida Kahlo's world.
Yeah, we were welcomed by the family of
Wow.
Frida, took to their home, and we were able to see some objects and personal photographs from
Wow.
the family album. So
We read her letters that she wrote to her
Yes.
family.
Amazing.
So we really
amazing.
stepped into her personal life, not that much into the usual soap opera
Yeah.
and stories that goes around her. It was more getting into her personal and the person and who was her.
Yeah, and she had an amazing life, and yeah, like before we started recording this, I was talking to Anna about that. My daughter has this book that is a children's book on Frida that she reads, and she really enjoys it. And I've enjoyed it. Just even. Her life was just so full of hardship, in a lot of
Yes.
ways.
I think she was able to translate her pain into love.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, we know of Frida, the Frida that was strong, the Frida that empowered herself through the accident, her health issues. But to me, one of the most beautiful things of the trip was to be able to peel all these layers and get to how special she was in her heart and how much she cared for the people around her.
Yeah.
And that was something that touched me so deeply to the point that I came back home and it even changed my interaction with my girls. Like it
Yeah.
deepened the way that I started even connecting with people and talking to people. I think she was somebody that was not afraid to dive into somebody's heart and herself. And it was, just beautiful to get to eat her food, the types of things that she liked to eat, the places that she loved to visit in Mexico.
Yeah, I think we grasped that idea of, it was for me too, this idea that, okay, even if she went into tough situations, she was able to manage to bring her art as an escape or as a catalyst of everything she was going on, and being creative in a way to just feel good and feel free and feel empowered. So that was really grasping that slight things were really, really nice.
I know, and her work is so it's amazing. There's nothing you could say that's less than that. But also it's interesting when I look at her work because some of it is just very beautiful, and I think it's kind of follows maybe the traditional kind of aesthetics. But then there's a lot of it that is very weird, and it's
Yes.
and it's.
I think I would describe her work as very cathartic.
Yeah.
And that was the experience also. We got to see the museums, and one of the artifacts that I remember the most is the bed where she spent time. And it was adapted so that there was a mirror on the top she could paint herself, even being in bed.
Yes.
Same thing on a wheelchair. They designed a wheelchair where she had an easel so that she could also paint. So many lessons from her, but I think the ability to push through pain and still follow her creativity and still follow that passion that she had to
Yeah.
find freedom of thought and freedom to feel.
Yeah, and passion, I think, it's the word, because everything felt really passionate and very from the inside, from like
Yeah.
feelings and like really, really, really deep inside, loving people around, close connections to family and friends.
And animals.
Yes.
Like,
Animals too, yeah.
She had an amazing just heart, I think, like generosity. We saw also that she had some sort of like a charity system where like she was helping families in need at some point and giving, just helping her community.
Yeah.
Very inspiring.
So how did it feel when you started this project to know that, okay, you have to, you're going to be working, and the family is involved in this, and you're going to Mexico City and learning more about Frida's life. One, how did it feel to know that you were going to kind of extend Frida's legacy in some ways? And then two, how did it feel, as far as, did the ideas come right away to you, like as soon as you started thinking about it? Or did it take some time? Maybe
It
start
took
with you?
time, and
Yeah.
it's been tough. I'm so nervous for this project. It's more like being in dialogue and bringing some of her passions or her thoughts or her, life into contemporary art world. And that dialogue and that conversation, it's like, okay, it goes farther because she was so implied with the community, as Jimena was mentioned, with the culture in Mexico, that it means that the dialogue must be extended to like Mexican culture, maybe some ancient cultures there and everything. So it's like, wow, digging in that and trying to establish that dialogue, it has been hard for me, I must say, yes.
I think for me, I've gone through cycles. First, I was shocked. Huge responsibility.
Yeah.
We know historically what she represents worldwide for the art world, and it felt scary at first. But I have had the time to sit with the work and the code and go through many iterations for months and months and months. I have come to a place of realizing that she was not afraid to be herself and express herself. And if she wasn't, I think that's a lesson for me as well, to embrace these projects with the same like empowerment, confidence, and humility. And it's been just a beautiful experience. It's also, I do have to say that to be able to share this experience with two artists that I love and respect, such you and Alaida, it's beautiful.
Yes, it's amazing. And how did you find, because Frida, she's a painter. How did you start to think about translating that into generative art? It's not like you're going from painting to painting, right? You're having to, translate paintings into generative art and systems. Mm-hmm. How did you go about thinking about that?
In my case, I wanted to bring really deep and dig into the medium. So I'm not going to represent something or trying to mimic some of her painting styles or whatever. I would love to bring really generative art medium and systems and talk about this experience from the inner soul of our own medium and our contemporary practice. So where I was digging is like, okay, how I can build some systems that have these kind of layers and layers of subtle drawings or small things that can talk about how many layers in her personality and life were there, and how we can connect the past, who she was, and the future through something visually that can explain and give us this idea and the narrative of what I felt when I was there and how I felt inspired by her work and her life. So yeah, that was my approach, like going into the medium, the intrinsic, well, it's super difficult to pronounce, intrinsic characteristics of what we can do with systems, with code, and with the generative medium, and trying to bring the narrative by layering some of these ideas and concepts.
How about you, Jimena?
Very similar. My goal wasn't to replicate her work. My goal has been to, I think, transmute the beautiful experience of getting to know more about her and using all the symbolisms and her feelings really towards life into my work. And one of the, I think, biggest concepts for me that I'm trying to portray on the project is the fact that she was somebody that did not follow a grid. And so I'm using grids actually on my project to remind ourselves of like that very lesson of stepping outside of the lines and bringing, the love that she wrote, like in letters, in the places that she visited, in the just beautiful culture of Mexico, with the colors, the vibrancy, that passion, that energy into the work. So yeah, I'm with Anna. That wasn't trying to like replicate exactly what her paintings were. I'm just doing more like an expression of my own interpretation of what this experience has been.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah, I must say that going into this direction, I will be like creating some digital art, but then the prints will be augmented by hand, but doing some interventions on it. So it's like even another layer of giving kind of adding to the narrative and to the deep, and not understanding, but getting in dialogue with her life and her passion and her culture.
That's great. So when is this project, you think, going to be released or finished, or is there a date for that?
Jimena has it.
I think we're still kind of trying to like get into the details, but I think around December we're going to start, releasing it. I think it's going to have layers or stages.
Yes.
But right now, I encourage everybody to follow our socials because we're sharing the snippets of what the experience has been. So there is videos and photos and just thoughts that we're sharing, just to kind of bring people into what this experience has been.
And is it been determined if this is going to be a long form project? Is it going to be one of ones? What's the format?
I think it's a long form.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great.
Every artist is creating a long form. I think Jimena will be the first one starting.
Yeah. I think for me, art is for everybody. And I think if you look at my kind of journey in like Web3, I try my best to make art affordable. I come from blue collar family. We didn't have, enough to kind of access purchasing art and things like that. And so it's very important for me to be inclusive. I think we're going to follow kind of those lines also to make this project accessible as much as we can.
It's amazing.
Yeah, sounds really nice.
It's great. So thank you both for coming over and talking about this. It sounds like really exciting, and I can't wait to see the final outputs.
It will
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Thank
It's
you.
been amazing following your live streaming too.
Thank you.
So,
I'm so
for that.
honored to be able to do this and to sit down with amazing artists like yourself and to talk about art. And I 100% agree. The world needs more art. So the more we can get art out there and we can get it in more people's hands, different price points, for different people. I think all that is great. The world needs more art, not less. So
I think
let's get it out
totally.
there.
Art has changed my life, and if I can plant those seeds on people,
Definitely.
that'll make me very
happy. It's for
happy.
everybody. That's the thing. Art shouldn't be just something that rich people have on their walls. I feel like it should be something that is accessible, and I would love to see people from all backgrounds be able to get into art collecting and collect. And I think that's what generative art allows us to do,
and
right?
digital art, you can
Digital
always
art,
right-click save. So
Exactly. That's something that
everyone
was
to
it was
enjoy
really. I posted on X, I think last week about that, and it just kind of came to my mind was that all this blockchain art is really by its nature public art.
Yes.
Totally
agree.
Which is kind of amazing because for the whole history, it's like
everyone
people make
can
art.
enjoy. Everyone can enjoy
and then
look at it.
If it sells for a lot of money, it goes into a collector's a house or museum, or it gets crated away in Switzerland, and no one ever sees it unless a museum picks it up. But it's amazing in this space of the fact that even the most expensive collections are accessible and everyone can view them.
Yes, you can enjoy them, and then you even can collect and support artists doing that art and spreading art.
Yeah, and that's
so
what
that's an amazing opportunity.
It kind of crystallized in my mind, and I think the collectors in this space that are supporting artists are really doing a service for the world, really, by supporting artists because they're allowing for more art to get out there, which is in the format we're releasing is public art, right?
Yes.
So
I also think that if we can inspire other artists to also join the space and realize that you just kind of have this audience of people around the world that are interested in you as an artist and support you, that would be another amazing milestone.
Yeah.
To have more artists joining us and
100%.
learning code and more women learning code
Yes.
and all these
100%.
amazing things.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing, and I think I never thought when I learned to code that, because I learned to code just kind of more. I actually taught myself. I wasn't really classically trained in that way, but I never thought that you could learn to code through art, but it's now I totally know that you can,
Yes.
and it's a great path
It's
to
an
do it.
amazing path because it's a different one.
Yeah.
Not the, I don't know.
Don't start with data structures and algorithms.
More
you can
creative
just start
ways,
creating.
so,
And that's the thing with a lot of that of programming and all this stuff is that learning anything, I think, if you can get someone making something, whether it's an app, whether it's art, whether it's anything, music, if you're learning music, you get them to experience the act of creation, which is going to get them more motivated to continue learning.
100%.
I tell
and everyone can find their own path to learn how to learn more and get inspired and get creative and learn even more. Yeah.
And I tell you a beautiful quote-unquote side effect of this project, which is I've been working on it for months and months and not showing really anyone except my two little girls, 6 and 8 year old, and huge imposter syndrome at the beginning. The first time I show them the work, they are like, "You can paint lemons with code? You can do all, letters," and my 8-year-old is, "I'm ready to learn how to code, Mom." Oh. So as a side effect of the project, I've been working on a little course on how to code or how to teach an 8-year-old that doesn't really know yet, mathematics to a deeper level, how to code. So if we can inspire others to also get curious about how do I teach myself? The world is so open now with ChatGPT and YouTube learning.
100%. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, so they're not that age yet. But when they do get a little older, I totally think back to how, in school they kind of taught me, and I think I would just want to tweak it for them, and make sure that I think it's really important, especially with math and things like that, to not just give formulas and that type of thing. Have people start building things, you know?
Yes,
See
let
the
them be
usage of that.
creative so they find their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, it's funny, like, I remember back and I remember trigonometry. I just hated trigonometry and I never wanted to learn trigonometry. But, you know, I remember there was a hackathon I went to maybe, I don't know, it was a while ago, 10 years ago. And the team I got on, we decided we wanted to build a Nerf sentry gun.
Ooh.
Like with the like the Nerf, meaning the like Hasbro toy, like, you know, it's a toy. I don't know if you ever
Okay.
seen, you know what I'm talking about, but
No, I
yeah,
don't think so.
it's basically like a toy sentry gun, but it's electric.
Okay.
So it has a motor in it to shoot
Okay.
the darts, the foam darts.
Okay.
But you know, one thing we did is we ended up taking Xbox Connect and hooking it up to skeleton tracking data.
Yes, I remember that.
And then like mounting a basically a gyroscope sensor on top of the sentry gun, and right there, that's trigonometry to line up, you know, the skeleton tracking data to there.
Cool.
And I learned it like that, you know,
Yeah,
like it's like
your opportunity, you know, like
Exactly.
I want to make this. Oh, I need to learn that.
no problem.
Okay, no problem.
So that's,
Got
I
it.
just think like maybe that's not everybody. Maybe certain people are more, but for me, I know, and people, you know, like me, like I know that's how I have to learn something, is I have to know, okay, I want to build something, and then, okay, that's why I need that bit of math, or I want to do some art. And I think in generative art that happens a lot, is you have to,
I think so.
you have to, you know, okay, I kind of have this idea in my head, but I need to learn the math, or I need to know the technique.
My
to do it.
6-year-old had the perfect sentence, and she said, "The art guides you to do the next art piece."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And that's-
teaching at university, and I can't tell you that my students start like, I'm teaching generative art to them and how to code it, and they start being afraid of code and the mathematical part, and it's like, no.
Yeah, no.
It's not that hard. One, you have the motivation and you want to do something and create a project and to draw something, then the rest drives you because you get involved, you get motivated.
Exactly,
and you
too,
get there.
and on that note too, it's, you know, I think a lot of, especially in generative art, there's always a temptation that to kind of reduce the art to technology or the
The mathematical
the
part of it.
mathematics, or like how, you know, technically advanced something is, and like you, which I think is really cool, like to see as like an artist. But I think it's important that, you know, some really great projects like in generative art can be simple. They don't have to be super technical, right?
Totally agree. It's like you don't need a super technical background or a super technical code to create something that it's visually meaningful and
Yeah.
can relate to the audience and relate and tell stories and have a narrative. So yeah, that's the point. Just get people
Yeah.
inspired.
It's
and
not a tech
let
demo.
them-
It's a
Yes,
it's an art
that's it.
piece.
It's an art piece. And you have to feel it, not like being super technical.
I feel like this year has been for me exactly what you guys are saying in terms of that exploration. I went to college for engineering and did terrible because I didn't realize I had a ton of learning disabilities like ADHD, dyslexia, and back then, no, like there wasn't diagnosis
Yeah.
or like a lot of help on that regard. And it took me a while to start creating art with code because I was very insecure about my technical abilities and mathematical abilities, and I didn't know that I had, you know, just my brain was wired differently to
Yeah.
learn differently. And it was only when I started to just let myself create like from a very basic standpoint
Yeah.
that I was like, okay, I can make a circle, then I can make a line, then I
Exactly.
can make the move, then I can create the next thing, and then one thing led to the next, to the next, to the next, and that's how it's been.
No, I had the same experience too, and I was like starting, and I know exactly that feeling of, you know, you feel like you're inadequate because you don't know. For me, it was shaders. Like, I still haven't done a project on shaders. I don't know anything about shaders. Like, maybe one day I'll learn shaders. But I was like, when that happened, I was I just was like, oh man, I got to learn shaders like before I can create art. But that's not the right thing to do. You know, like that is a bad temptation because it's not true. You don't need to learn. If you want to learn it, but you don't need it to be a great artist. You can use
even with
simple
colors.
tools.
If there's a conceptual or a creative reason, go for it. But if it's not, just leave it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the same with colors for me. The experience was at the beginning, I was like, it has to be mute color. And obviously, I respect anybody's choices of color. I'm not.
Yeah.
It was just my own experience that I was like, I have to be mute. I have to be dark. I have to be. And it was sort of like also like on my own voice, like be quiet, be the good little girl. Don't like ruffle anybody's feathers. Yeah. And then one day, I started watching my kids during the pandemic using an explosion of colors and vibrancy, and I'm like, why don't we try this? And it's been a beautiful exploration of like, you don't have to be muted. If you don't want to, you can. But you can learn shaders or like do P5Js and just vanilla basic shapes, or just let kind of the project or the journey lead you into the next thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's conversations like this that is just amazing to be here.
Conversations that leads me is worthy to be here with
exactly
the community and
you know,
with you.
That's why I'm doing the show. And things like
and
that.
It's amazing.
So thanks to everyone for tuning in. I think we're going to take a little bit of a break. Thanks, Anna and Jimena, for joining, and I'm super excited about your project. And best of luck to finishing it up, and can't wait to see the final outputs and all of that. So thank you
for holding a space for us.
Thank you.
You're
No
amazing.
problem.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be back.
Bye.